Hey friends, welcome back. Today I want to talk all about why I'm no longer taking life and business advice from men. Now, I know that probably comes off sounding a certain kind of way, and that's fine. If that's how you take it, that's how you take it. But there are really, really valid reasons for why I feel this way. If you are new here, I'm Jen, single mom, artist, and entrepreneur, and this channel is all about building a life that you love. There are a lot of male influencers is the right word out there. Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, Dave Ramsey. Those are just a few that come to mind, and there are so many more. And, many times they are kind of looked to as the authorities of the business and entrepreneurship world. And that's fine. Those authorities, right? Realistically, they are. They've built a life for themselves, but they've built a life for themselves as men in a male-dominated world. So the advice that they have and the stories that they tell about how they found their success and how we should all find our success based on how they found their success are incredibly male-centered, and they just don't jive for women. And all of these male influencers, let's call them influencers for lack of a better term, gurus, influencers, whatever you want to use. I'm going to say influencers for lack of a better, more succinct term, because I think they all fall into that realm of influencers, right? All of these men are successful. They are, but they're also opinionated and aggressive. And those opinions and that level of aggression led them to be able to literally push themselves to the top, right? They were able to just literally blow through boundaries. But women can't do that because we aren't respected when we do that. We are not allowed to be loud. We are not allowed to be opinionated, and we are definitely not allowed to be aggressive, because when we aggressively go after things, we're bossy, and men don't respond well to bossy women, right? Other men treat us as if we are some sort of pariah in the world because we are aggressively going after the thing that we want. So we're not allowed to be aggressive. We're not allowed to be loud, because if we're loud, we're too much. And if we're opinionated, we're uncooperative. And men don't want to work for us or with us when we display the very same traits that allow men to succeed in the world. So we have to dampen ourselves down. We have to, instead of pushing through other people's boundaries the way that men often do in order to find success, women aren't allowed to do that. We have to finesse our way through those boundaries by basically convincing men that our ideas were their ideas. And that's terrible, and I hate that. And it's unfortunately something that many women that I know have experienced out in the working world. A 2017 study done by Harvard University found that women who speak up in the workplace often get no credit for the things they speak up about in meetings or groups, while men who speak up in those same settings absolutely do get credit for their ideas that they spoke up about. Women's ideas are overlooked in groups. That means that women have to spend twice as much time investment in order to get their ideas heard by others, because they have to share those ideas with people more individually and in smaller crowds than rather than sharing them in large groups or meetings, because they're ignored in meetings and they are overlooked in meetings, whereas they aren't overlooked as much when the conversation is one-on-one. But it is so much harder and takes so much longer to get your ideas heard when you are having to go to person to share that idea than when you can just say that idea once in a meeting and everybody says, oh yeah, we like that idea. But that's what happens. With men, people say, oh yeah, I like that idea. When women share an idea in a meeting, it's as if she never opened her mouth. On the same token, there are countless studies that show that women are consistently interrupted in meetings by men. In fact, women are interrupted 3 times more often by men than men are interrupted by men. That's a giant problem. If men don't respect women enough to allow them to finish their ideas and to finish what they have to say, then how are we ever supposed to have the same level of success as men? When women talk about having to work twice as hard to get the same acknowledgement that men do, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about the fact that their opinions aren't respected in meetings, they aren't heard, they're interrupted, and even when they voice their opinions, they're completely glossed over. Add to that the lack of parental leave in most workplaces here in the United States, and women are getting the short end of the stick 99% of the time. Now, I was a stay-at-home mom from the time my daughter was born until she was 8 years old, and my son would have been 6 when I went back to work. So I spent 8 years out of the workforce. That, in and of itself, hurts your earning ability as a woman. But even once I went back to work, which parent took off when a kid got sick? That was me. Which parent took off work to go to doctor's appointments and dentist appointments? That was me. And even now, my day job is technically part-time. I don't have sick time. I don't have vacation time. So if I don't go to work, I don't get paid. My ex-husband, on the same token, is salary. He has sick leave, he has vacation time, he has all kinds of time. But even now, I'm the one that takes off work for those things. It isn't him. And that is true with the majority of couples in this world, at least here in the United States. That's not to say that there aren't men out there that raise their kids. There aren't men out there that are stay-at-home dads. There aren't men out there that go to all of those appointments and take off work for those things, because there are. But that is the exception, not the rule. In general, it's women who have to miss work. It's women who have to sacrifice their career for their children. And don't get me wrong, most of us do that absolutely willingly. I love my kids, and I'm happy to put my kids above my job absolutely any day of the week. Because my job, I don't love my job like I love my children. So I'm okay with that sacrifice, but that doesn't change the fact that that sacrifice greatly impacts my ability to have the same level of success as a man in exactly my same situation. Because men tend to have the benefit of there being a woman that takes care of those familial duties, and he never has to worry about that. There was a clip recently on YouTube of Dave Ramsey talking about a family that was paying way too much for childcare because that price was just absolutely unreal, and that they need to find a free summer program for the summers. And I'll see if I can find it. If so, I'll add it right here.
They're not even in school and you're already paying $25,000 a head? Yeah, come on, dude. That's just dumber than crap.
Even if Dave Ramsey wasn't 100% out of touch with the cost of childcare in the United States, and he is 100% out of touch with the cost of childcare in the United States, even if he wasn't, the truth is he was able to build the successful business that he had because he had the benefit of having a stay-at-home wife who managed their children, who managed their home, who managed everything to do with their home life, and who supported his business endeavors. Because she did a lot of work for his company. Even when she was working outside of the home, it was for his benefits specifically. So this man who now gives financial advice with absolutely no idea what the financial situation of 90% of American households is like, got that level of success largely because he had a woman supporting him and doing all of the duties that he didn't want to do. Gary Vee is another instance. He tells a story about how he gave up his 20s to build his parents' wine business. And he published, I think, a video on YouTube every single day for like 4 or 5 years. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember the number of years that he did that, but it was for multiple years. And he did work really, really hard. And I'm not discrediting the fact that he worked really, really hard. But he also became a father in his very early 20s. And nowhere in his story of success and fame does he talk about how he balanced his work life with taking care of his child, because he didn't have to take care of his child. Someone else, the child's mother, took care of the child. He He didn't have to do the day-to-day upkeep of taking care of a kid. He didn't have to worry about daycare. He was able to work ridiculously long hours because he didn't have the responsibility of being a parent the way the child's mother had the responsibility of being a parent. So yeah, it's a lot easier to build a gigantic level of success when someone else takes care of your primary responsibilities when it comes to parenting children that you brought into this world. If he had been that child's mother rather than that child's father, you can guarantee those roles would have been reversed. We wouldn't know who Gary Vee was anymore. We'd know the name of that child's mother instead. I'm sure I could find that on Google. I didn't look up the name of that child's mother because that kind of wasn't the point. But the point is, men are able to be successful because they have the benefit of having women in their lives who do the behind the scenes hard work, which allows them the privilege of being able to work really, really hard to build a business or build a career or whatever it is. So when Gary Vee says, go out there and make the hard choices and work 18 hours a day, if you're still 19 years old and you don't have any children, okay, you can take that advice. But for a 40-year-old woman who's just gotten a divorce and finds herself being a single mom, who has children to take care of, who has other priorities in life besides just building an empire, that advice is useless to you. That advice is useless to me. Do I work a lot of hours? Yes, I do. Absolutely, I do. Between this YouTube channel and my small businesses and my day job. As I mentioned, my day job is part-time. My other income comes from my businesses and the work that I put into. And yes, I put in way more than 40 hours a week between all of the things that I have going on, including this YouTube channel. So I do put in probably 18-hour days. My work day starts at 6 a.m., has a few chunks taken out for cooking dinner and starting laundry and running dishes and doing all of the things that it takes to keep my household running and making sure that my children get where they need to be when they need to be there. And it usually doesn't end until 10 o'clock at night when I go to bed. And I know those of you who are watching who are also moms absolutely relate to that. You put in a full day every day because we don't have any choice, right? And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't take that back. My kids are worth it. My kids are worth every hour that I put in. They are. But the same advice that works for men just doesn't work for women. It just doesn't. There are a few good female influencers, that's the word we're going to continue to use, out there who have amazing advice for women, and I hope to see that number grow because that's what we need in this world. We need more women out there showing the rest of us how to get where we want to be, how to be successful, in spite of the fact that we also have this whole host of other responsibilities that come along with being mothers, and how we can overcome the disrespect that we face in the modern working world where men are concerned. And none of this is to say that I have a problem with men and men being successful. I don't. I just think that when they're out there giving advice on being a successful business person or entrepreneur, that they should keep that advice directed strictly at men, because most of that advice just does not apply to women. It just isn't realistic for women. And I don't think that they understand that themselves. I don't think they understand the full gravity of how different the world is for women than it is for men. Most people, when they hit a certain level of success anyway, they kind of lose touch with what reality is like with most of the rest of the world. And I think that successful men have absolutely no sense of what reality is actually like for women out here in this working world that we live in today. Do you have female influencers that you love and who have influenced your life and that have had a great impact on how you see things and how you have found your own levels of success. Because if you do, I want to know who those people are so that I can follow them as well. So tell me in the comments, who are the women in the world that you find amazing and who you love to hear their advice on business and entrepreneurship and life in general? Tell me who those are, because I want to know. I want to be able to follow them too. So what do you think? Do you agree with my take on this? Do you disagree? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for joining me today. Have a great week, and I'll see you soon.